Nobody wanna see you rising, and when they do, they don't even like it. They just wanna see you deep in crisis. Drive us off, you don't need a light.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining me today. I am your man, Corb J. And thank you all for being here today. I've got a great video for you that I think is worth talking about. We got to talk about this. And what we're going to be talking about today is how the Nigerian factor elevated Azonto. Now, Azonto, for those of you that don't know, was, and I use the word was because you're going to find out in a minute why I'm using was a very popular Ghanaian music dance step that used a lot of, that mimicked hand movement. And it was such a very popular music dance step that no longer exists. So we're going to talk about why that is. I'm going to tell you the reason why it became popular in the first place. I'm going to talk to you guys about the series of events that occurred. And then we'll talk about what happened, why Azonto no longer is in existence today. So let's talk about this because I've got quite a few things that I want to cover. So first, let me talk to you guys and introduce you to a concept known as the Nigerian factor. The Nigerian factor is essentially what many of you are feeling today and are experiencing as it relates to Nigeria's popularity in obviously the Afrobeat music genre, the Nollywood movie industry, Nigerians' popularity in terms of other aspects of industry that we find Nigerians excelling in. So to help you quantify all of that, I want to introduce you to a concept known as the Nigerian factor. And what is the Nigerian factor? So the Nigerian factor encompasses the inherent drive embedded within the indigenous people of Nigeria designed to yield favorable result most of the time. Now, what does that mean? What that says in a nutshell is that whatever Nigerians touch becomes gold in most times. And that's what the Nigerian factor is. So the Nigerian factor is essentially something that most Nigerians have as a result of being born Nigerians, that really drives a lot of their success. This has to do with the motivations that Nigerians have. This has to do with the zeal that Nigerians have, the willingness to succeed, the drive, that fire that Nigerians have no matter where they go to really become something much more than they are. And that's what you call the Nigerian factor. I want to talk to you about how that Nigerian factor really helped to elevate Azonto. Nigerian factor is the reason why Afrobeat today is huge all over the place. Why Africans and Africa right now are getting such a huge eyeball on the continent is all largely due to Nigerians and is based on the Nigerian factor. So let's talk about Azonto for a second, because I'm going to spend most of the time on this video on that. So as I mentioned, Azonto was a dance move invented by Ghanaians that really mimicked hand gestures and hand movement. It was really huge in the area of 2011, 2012, which is when it had its peak, all the way to 2013. I remember going to events back in 2012 and 2013 in Atlanta, also in Houston, and I would hear it played or used all over the place. And, you know, young kids were really jiving to it. It was so fascinating and electrifying that you almost could not help be part of it. You know, you see it and you see young kids really mimicking and really displaying this dance move. You just kind of jump into it. It was such a cool dance move. And it was huge, to the point that it became so huge that Nigerians were really using it in their music. Nigerians were really helping to build this music, this dance step, I should say, and really exporting it all over the world. You know, it was huge in the UK. It was also something that many African countries were using, and also a little bit part of the United States. You saw it really kind of, you saw it being used a lot. And it was very, very fascinating to see. I really, really enjoyed and missed Azonto. Azonto was a great product that Ghana really put out there. Now, what happened? Because as I mentioned earlier on, Azonto was something that most people know about, but no one knows about it today. Azonto has flatlined and you couldn't find it anywhere. Many people aren't talking about it. It has become a thing of the past. The biggest part of Azonto was when Fuse, ODG, who is a Ghanaian artist, sung and created a song called Azonto, which is one of the biggest music that was ever done around that whole dance movement. That was also an amazing thing to see, because when it comes on my Pandora, I dive to this. It's just a great product that Ghanaians had. Now here's where Ghana really lost Azonto. Azonto became very popular due to the fact that Nigerians exported it. Nigerians really made it very popular. One of the things that you will notice with Ghana, that's even a criticism that many Ghanaians they've spoken about themselves also, is that Ghana really doesn't take the time to build its product. As a matter of fact, Ghanaians are more likely to latch on other people's product or success train, finished product, than really help to build theirs up. So when Azonto was going on, when Azonto was huge, which as a result of Nigerians really putting it in their Afrobeat music, utilizing it a lot, we began to see, this is in 2012, 2013, and 2014, Ghanaians really begin to attack Nigerians for using Azonto. As a matter of fact, they didn't adopt it until others became using it. Then they wanted to say, hey, it's our thing, you know, stop using it. And Nigerians got the brunt of that. I want you to take a listen to Fuse ODG, who was the pioneer of that music dance step. I want you to hear his take on this. So just don't take my word for it. Hear his take on why Azonto truly died, and hear his disappointment on that.
Hard. Listen, how do you feel right now when you look back at what we did to Azonto? Just tell me. Be blunt. Be honest.
The way you said what we did to Azonto, like
yes,
Azonto was someone
what we did.
We broke her heart or something.
It was us. So background to this conversation, we've been talking about how we sort of lost our identity in music on things that we created that went viral, that went global and had global impact. But unfortunately, I mean, we don't have those things any longer representing us strong. Maybe we do have, but it's not as strong as it used to be. Hence me asking that question, that when you look back at the brand Azonto, what Fuse did, the dance, you know, getting people to dance in the middle of the street. In which country it was, I don't know. When those two.
That was London.
That was London, right?
Yeah,
okay.
And on the train.
On the train,
that
yes.
was London, yeah.
Fuse. So now the question: when you look back 10 years to what we've made it as it is today, where it's almost nothing, how do you feel?
That's a big conversation, man. But I feel like even from early, I felt like we weren't even embracing it in the first place, and it was only, I felt like, when our people saw other people doing it, that's when they're like, wait, this is our dance. And then we started to own it. Do you get what I mean? So, because I was here and everyone was dancing Azonto, but no one really cared, you know, until they saw people in London doing it, people in Australia doing it. They're like, wait, this is from Ghana. So I kind of feel like we need to learn how to embrace what we have now rather than waiting for other people to then start, you know, doing what we've already started and then talk about it.
So you see that many like him truly are disappointed at that. But I also want you to take a look at another clip from Apietus, who also expressed his frustration with Ghanaians who seem to abandon things that are theirs and latch onto other people's things, and they also have abandoned Azonto. Take a listen to Apetu's take on this.
In Ghana, what kind of music is that represents us out there? What kind of music is representing us out there? When you say Jamaica, reggae comes to mind. Are you getting my point? The moment you say hip hop, America comes to mind. If you say dancehall, Jamaica comes to mind. The moment you say Afrobeat, Nigeria comes to mind. You don't have to mention any name of any artist from Nigeria. Just say Charlie Afrobeat. Where does it originate from? You hear people say Nigeria. My problem is we should have our roots. The moment somebody says Azonto, we had Azonto. It was worldwide. Everybody should say, "Oh, Azonto is from Ghana." Straight. With something to represent us out there. Yes, once in a while someone will make a big hit and then it will go there. And yes, then you see that most of their fans are from Nigeria. You know, the Nigerians are also making noise about that particular song. So there's this, notion that Afrobeat is for Nigeria. It's not even for African. There's that notion out there, whether we like it or not. You know, ask any white guy who doesn't really know much and say Afrobeats, where does it come from? He will say Nigeria. You know, because they have caught that niche for themselves. So what is it? What is Ghana represented by? Remember, say which music represents Ghana out there or is selling Ghana out there? They will start mentioning names like, oh, Black Sheriff. They will not mention any genre. They will say, oh, Camido. Yeah. No, that's not what I want. I want a situation where I say, Charlie, where does dancehall originate from? Dancehall is still being banging in Jamaica. They are still doing it. They are still doing reggae. You know, so what are we represented by out there, music-wise? Not artists.
What genre best fits us?
We had a high life, we have Azonto, and we left it. Nigerians tried to take it, we were making noise, hey, it's out. Then they left it for us, then we also took it and put it back down. We have to have something, I don't really mind what it is, but we have to have something that the moment you mention that name, that genre, everybody will be like, oh, he's from Ghana, straight.
So which one do we settle with? Which one do we settle with? Is it Azonto or High Life?
It doesn't matter the genre, but we have to have something that will represent us out there. Are you getting my point? I'm saying we had Azonto and we left it. We can go and pick our thing and do it. We have left our High Life.
So that's the reality of what you would normally find when it comes to that. Now, the Nigerian factor, as I mentioned, was what really propagated Azonto and made it really big. And Ghana began to push back at Nigerians. As a matter of fact, I remembered hearing a lot of very nasty things during that time from a lot of Ghanaians who were pushing back at Nigerians using Azonto in their music. Things like, don't use our stuff, leave us alone, don't copy our stuff. You know, this type of nasty type of behavior. And Nigerians left it. Nigerians left it alone, saying, you know what, the hell with this. We're not just going to be trying to build a unified African country and then have Ghana really kind of attack Nigerians every time Nigerians trying to pull Ghana into this success. And then what happened afterwards? Azonto died. Azonto flatlined to the point that no one heard of it anymore. Ghanaians were not able to breathe life into Azonto, which clearly showed that Nigerians were the ones that really popularized that whole thing the entire time. Because the moment they told Nigerians, leave our stuff alone, and Nigerians said, okay, you know what, forget it. We'll leave it alone. We're not going to touch it. That's fine. You can have your stuff. That was the end of Azonto. Ghanaians couldn't make it big anymore. Ghanaians didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know how to really move it forward. They didn't know how to export it. And so the opportunity was lost at that moment. The moment that they sort of pushed away their biggest exporter of their own product, which is bizarre when you think about it. You know, you've never found any time in history where a particular people would sort of like drive away people that are promoting their product. It's like the backwards type of thing. Most people want people to promote their stuff because it gives eyeballs and favorability and creates a buzz around your product. You want your product to be exported. You want people to buy into it. You want them to adopt it. You know, and to find that was such a bizarre behavior that it also is hypocritical when you think about it. What I mean hypocritical is Ghanaians appropriate other people's culture. You know, for example, you know, one of the few of the biggest stars in Ghana, you know, are the dancehall artists. You know, the likes of Stonebwoy and many others like that. They have a lot of reggae dancehall artists. Reggae is not a Ghanaian product, so they borrowed from Jamaicans. Now, you don't find Jamaicans saying, hey, stop singing reggae. You know, it's not your stuff. Go figure your stuff out. You don't find them saying this. And rightfully so. No Jamaican should ever say that. And most of them will not do that because that's just a immature way of behaving. Or, for example, you won't find African Americans tell the likes of Sarkodie, who raps in his music and has made a career rapping in his music. You don't find African Americans and African American rap artists saying, hey, cease and desist from doing this, from rapping in your songs because it's African American product, it's not your product. You don't find this. Every culture uses other culture because that's how music evolves. It evolves from one generation to another generation. The previous generation will borrow from the one before it. The next generation will borrow from the one previously. That is how it has always been. That's music. Now, to have Ghanaians during that time, I remember when that happened. It was so disappointing when I saw that. It's essentially the same thing we're seeing now, with the behavior and such a very, very attackful behavior you're seeing from a lot of Ghanaians on the internet as it relates to this Afrobeat thing, which, by the way, let me make a point on that. So if Nigerians also did to Ghanaians what Ghana did to Nigeria in terms of don't use our stuff, see, Nigerians would never say that because Nigerians are bigger than that, will not stoop to that level to really be petty. But just say, for example, Nigerians did that. They are within their rights to say, hey, don't use our Afrobeat music. Go figure yourself out. But you find a lot of Ghanaian artists, likes of Jackie, who I love very much. You know, I love her song. She's an Afrobeat artist. She's a Ghanaian artist. And many others like that who have used Nigerian Afrobeat music and they've made a living for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, because that's art. Art is basically inclusive, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But this idea and this behavior that you find from Ghana, it's really shocking because it essentially killed their industry when they could have been partnering with their biggest market in Africa, which is Nigeria. And then on the reverse, you find Nigerians really pulling Ghanaians in, right? You find a lot of Nigerians artists that go to Ghana to perform. The likes of Wizkid when he was coming up. And even till today, he goes to Ghana to perform. As a matter of fact, Wizkid was just in Ghana last year to perform and didn't perform. He finally decided not to perform because the promoters in Ghana did not do their job in really filling the place up. And a mega star like Wizkid wasn't going to perform to a crowd of like 5,000 people when he performs to a crowd of 20,000 plus, right? But nonetheless, they go to Ghana. And Davido has gone there several times, as well as many other megastar artists, to pull Ghana in. See, Nigeria takes the high road when it comes to this pettiness of that we see with Ghana against Nigerians. And it only hurts them. And has really hurt them. Because I think the smartest thing to have done was to allow people export your product, which is how we did it, right? The Nigerian Afrobeat, we exported it. We let people do it. You find people on TikTok, white folks, Asian folks. You know, you find people in, the Arab countries, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, here in the United States, in England. They dance into Afrobeat. You don't go tell people and say, hey, stop it. Stop dancing to our music. It's not your music. It is the most childish and bizarre thing to do. And that's exactly what Ghana did. And they didn't just do it to anyone. They did it to the one country that was exporting their product. And I think they were in denial the entire time because they were in denial that Nigerians have such a huge impact on Azonto. And it was clearly realized the moment they did that, and Nigerians said, you know what? Okay, forget this. And the artists abandoned it. Nigerian artists didn't put that in their songs anymore. They respected Ghana's wish and say, okay, fine, we'll leave it alone. That was the end of it. That was the end of it. To the point that even Ghanaians today know that that was what really killed Azonto. And that is really, really bizarre. And that goes to that Nigerian factor that I'm talking about. That when Nigerians put their hands in something, it is a blessing that you have Nigerians putting their hands on that. Nigerians have now become a brand on its own. Hear me here. Nigerians have become a brand on its own, that their mere alignment or their mere aligning themselves to something is most likely going to make that successful. Let me give you another one. The biggest concert in the world, Afro Nation, is owned by 2 Nigerians. The biggest concert, the biggest Afrobeat concert in the world, Afro Nation, is owned by 2 Nigerians that started this, right? And they have gone to Ghana several times to do concert. Again, Nigeria always pulls Ghana into this thing. Like, hey, let's work together. Stop the petty stuff. But what we see with Ghana is a pushback and attack on their biggest market, and they hurt themselves. And Afro Nation has gone to Portugal. The last event that occurred was in Portugal. The next one coming up is in Portugal. And they've now finally announced that Nigeria is going to also be the next place for them to really do the concert. These are 2 Nigerian owners that own this. It's a Nigerian product. Afro Nation is a Nigerian product. Understand that that is the case. It's not any different from Facebook and YouTube being a US product. It matters who started something. It matters what citizen and which citizens own that. It's not any different from Mercedes being a product of Germany. Even though everyone in the world uses it, it matters. That's what you call the Nigerian factor. And you can see this many places play out. And it's what's really driving the trend, the popularity, the what you call the fever, if you will, the Nigerian fever, or the Nigerian excitement that you're seeing. You know, when you see a Nigerian at a job, he or she is likely to be one of the top performers at that job. Nigerian factor. When you see a Nigerian at school earning a degree, he or she is likely to really be top of their class. When I went to school, I graduated with honors, magna cum laude from Texas A&M University. That is a Nigerian factor. When you see Nigerians in music or anything, they put in their best because that is something in us that we know. It's a drive in us, you know, that we just know we have to be the best in anything we do. Which is why a lot of people really, not a lot, but some people, I would say, hate Nigerians for it. Because anywhere Nigerians go, Nigerians take over. And they know this for a fact. People know that if Nigerians come in town, they're going to elevate that place. And if you're not competitive, if you're not someone that can compete, you're going to be mad at that. You're going to be pissed off because they'll outcompete you. We will outcompete you, out-earn you, and that will make you upset. But those who are competitors, those who are as equally tasked or as equally up to the task or challenge of being competitors, welcome that. They welcome it because it makes it only elevates who they are. It elevates their community. It elevates what they do. Those people elevate because Nigerians are there. You only find weak people who can't compete, who are lazy, who aren't doing anything, get mad when someone else comes in and really outperforms you. And that's what you see with a lot of these places who either carry out a xenophobia attack against Nigerians, which most of those xenophobia attack, when you really look at it and peel back the onions behind that, was because those Nigerians in those countries were outperforming them in businesses, out-earning them, really outdoing them in terms of the way of life in those countries. And that's why they push back at that. That's why Ghana pushed back at Nigerians with Azonto, because when Azonto was popular and Nigerians were exporting, Nigerians never really claimed Azonto to be theirs. Azonto was clearly Ghanaians. But the people that most people recognize and can associate Azonto with were Nigerians, because the artists were the ones that they saw in their music and they were using Azonto. And Ghana was being exported through Nigeria's power and brand and factor to the world. Why couldn't they see this? I don't get it. I don't get why they couldn't see this. And they saw it as, they were very intimidated, and they saw it as a threat to the Azonto thing and say, hey, leave our stuff alone. Because if everyone starts telling Ghana to leave their stuff alone, Ghana and their artists won't have a career today. They wouldn't. The artists that have really adopted other people's culture to become who they are, the ones I mentioned, they won't have a career today. If other cultures say, hey, stop it, don't do, and nobody should ever say that, because music and arts and entertainment is for everyone to enjoy. You want to give credit to who started it? Yes, that is without a doubt. You know, the creator or the content creator or the originator of something has to be given credit for. You won't pass you won't go to school and take a test or write a paper and think that you're going to get a grade on it if you go to one of those good schools and not cite the source or credit the originator of that content. No one will give you a passing score on that. It's essentially the same thing with this. You can use anyone's product. You just have to give credit to that. That's all Nigerians are saying in terms of Afrobeat. But Nigerians have always allowed everyone to use their product. This is how Nigeria's product was exported all over the world. This is why everyone loves Afrobeat and everyone buys into it and feels that they are part of it. They feel that they're part of it because there's a sense of, I am part of this thing. You know, when you see Nigerians at concerts or events, you find white people, Mexicans, Chinese, dancing to this stuff. It pleases us. It gladdens our heart when we see these cultures really buying into our culture. That's what people love. And that's why it became as big as it is. But you don't tell people to stop, cease and desist from using your product when you yourself are using other people's products. That is hypocrisy. And so that's the life of Azonto. That's what killed it. It killed it because they pushed back and told Nigerians to stop using their stuff. And so Nigerians pulled back the Nigerian factor, took away their branding, took away their energy for it, took away their influence and the impact to Azonto. And that was the end of it. And so thank you all for watching. I'm very proud to be a Nigerian. I'm proud to know all the Nigerians out there that are doing their thing. Keep winning, keep thriving, keep making yourself a success and a brand to the rest of the world. On top of that, please make sure you like this video, share the content, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all.
Och det jag lägger är min tid. Jag vill ha det. Nu får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än